Good evening, everyone. Late Night Mega here, and tonight we are playing Mega Man 1 for the Game Boy. Well, I guess the game's not officially called Mega Man 1, it's officially called Mega Man Dr. Wily's Revenge. But for the purposes of this, I'm calling it Mega Man 1 for the Game Boy. Or Mega Man I, for those of you who still don't know Roman numerals. But speaking of I, let's go someplace that has a below zero temperature. Iceman. Yeah, we're off to a great start already. Hey, I want that. So yes, this is the first Mega Man game on the Game Boy series. We have completely devolved the Mega Man series and the technology. We no longer have the slide, we no longer have the charge shot, we can no longer stand still, we can no longer stop taking damage. Yeah. And the music is pretty basic. If you stand on those platforms, those little ice blocks, long enough, they will start to crumble apart. And as you can guess, this stage is probably really tricky. Because we have, you know, we're sliding around. We still can use the trick of jumping to stop our sliding momentum. But it's still very tricky. The jumping, as you can see, doesn't fully stop our slide like it does in other Mega Man games, and that didn't work again. I gotta get closer to the edge before I jump. Well, that's just not working at all. Then here's the neat little game over music. Start button, game end. That sounds good to me. Alright, let's try this again. This time without failing jumps miserably. Ah, there we go. Just gotta make sure you get close enough to the edge without, Oh, don't come over here. Oh, a 1-up. I could use that. And this section has a pretty interesting mechanic. These ice blocks appear. There's nothing you can do to get rid of them. They will damage you if they land on you. And you need to traverse them in a certain order in order to make it through the room. The ice blocks are not slippery, so that's a positive thing. I don't feel like dealing with you. I don't feel like dealing with you either, but I don't have much of a choice. And this section can get a little bit tricky. Putting enemies on the edge of platforms with icy platforms is not the nicest thing that they could be doing. Come on, I know you want to. Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna skip you. And skip you. Ah. And now we can battle Iceman. who does a ton of damage from his Ice Slasher. And we have icy floors as well. But overall, he's not too difficult to dodge. He only has a basic 1-2 pattern, so he doesn't fire off his Ice Slasher in sets of 3. And so he's a bit easier to battle than his NES counterpart, in my opinion. And for that, we got the Ice Slasher, and we have a really weird picture of Mega Man there. I always found that really weird. I never cared for it. Well, since this game doesn't follow the Pokemon type charts accurately, Ice beats Fire, so let's go there. And the Ice Slasher is actually a fairly useful weapon, so it's one that I do enjoy getting early in this game. And if you've seen my Mega Man playthrough for the NES, you'll know how much I like... Well, that was really senseless. You know how much I like the Atomic Fire. It's not Atomic Fire, is it? No, I don't know. Oh, you are close. But we can freeze enemies. Which is useful, and we have instant death lava below us, enemies raining down on us. That can be a hectic section. This can be really nasty, because if you get any closer, you take damage, but you have to go a bit closer to the edge there to make that jump. And these guys take a lot of shots, so I like to freeze them, and then blast them. And we're kind of getting a section of these guys, and these guys did not appear in the NES game, but they did appear in Mega Man 2. So once again, refer to all of my comments in this series about the Game Boy games taking the technology of the next number in the NES series, so this is why we have enemies from Mega Man 2 here in Mega Man 1 for the Game Boy. At least that's my theory. And it seems to hold true pretty well. What timing there. Good job, Mega Man. Oh. And thank you, Sniper Joe, for giving me some more weapon energy. I could really use that health. Oh, you're... I didn't even see the guy up there. Well, that wasn't good. Alright, round 2 for this area. Let's not screw this up. There we go. Ah! This section might look intimidating, but just take it one step at a time. Sometimes stepping a little bit quickly. Oh, I thought I was going to avoid him. I find that those guys are really hard to avoid if you don't freeze them right away, and sometimes even if you do freeze them right away, it might not matter. But overall, this stage, I don't feel Fireman stage is too difficult. A lot of instant death, lava and stuff, but, and it's a bit on the lengthy side. Oh, this thing's not nice, but we can freeze it. And then it's not nearly as challenging. I promise we can freeze this one as well. That one's a bit easier to pass even if you don't have the ice. But like I said, ice is just so useful in this stage that I like to have it. Isn't this stage over with yet? feel like this stage is really super long. That's also the safest way to take those guys out. Alright. Now we can battle Fireman. And he acts very much the same as Fireman in the NES version, except his fire does not leave, you know, the ground burning as it passes under you, so it's much easier to dodge. And if it weren't for the usefulness of Ice Slasher in that stage, I'd recommend... Oh, it's Firestorm, not Atomic Fire. I'd recommend going there first. But, well, we'll go someplace else next.